Hey everyone, we are back with another agent interview to dig into real telesales numbers and of agents that are in the trenches, making it work every single day so you can hear what they have to say about this business and their journey in the business and what they're experiencing being a life insurance telesales agent. Okay, so today we're going to hear from an agent with an incredible, just absolutely incredible quality of business, who writes on average over $20,000 every single month. And in my opinion, she's the model independent agent. When you look at the data, she is the model agent, someone everyone should listen to here. So let's bring her on. So today we have Lisa Daniel. Lisa, welcome.
Good morning.
All right. So, I get to see your contributions on our trainings and how you work, with agents coming into digital BGA. So first, I wanted to thank you for that, but I also want to thank you for taking the time to share your experience about the business with us today, because there's a lot of insights that I know are going to help a lot of agents.
Well, I'm happy to help.
All right. So real quick, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get in the business?
So right now, I live outside of Atlanta. I'm originally from New York. And how I got in the business is I used to have my own medical equipment company. Then I got married. And when I got married, I, had kids kind of early because I got married later in life. And I sold my business, stayed home with my kids until they got into preschool. And then I said, okay, what do I do? So being that I had a medical equipment company, I still had relationships with people in the insurance business because you had to do billing. So someone came to me and said, hey, you know what? If you want to have a flexible schedule so you can be there for your kids, then try life insurance. And I said, okay, well, let's see. Did some research and dived in. And then I worked the first 6 months trying to figure it out with the mortgage protection, but that wasn't the best because you had to be out at night and I wanted to be with kids. So I transitioned to final expense and been face-to-face up until COVID. Then once COVID happened, I said, okay, I got to figure out how to work from home to still sustain this business that I've started, and tried to work with the gentleman who had commercials on TV. His lead source dried up, and that segued me into doing some research and finding digital because I wanted to still continue to do TV leads. So I've been here for about maybe 2 years now, I think it is. And
Yeah, almost exactly 2 years, late June 2022.
Yes.
I did my research.
Yes. And been here ever since. And I've been, learning the business. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you got to trust the process. So I thought it would be easy because I already had the experience, but it's a totally different ballpark when you're dealing with face-to-face versus on the phone, because now your voice has to be the light that shines versus just walking up and people seeing the whole picture of you. And I learned it and haven't looked back since.
When I think of you as, in the agency, I think of an agent who, has a deep understanding of the sales process. And in the 2 years you've been here, right? You have a deep understanding of the sales process and connecting with our client demo. I could just tell on our scripting calls how you give feedback when we're listening to live calls. Like, I know you just get it, right? I know that you understand our products and underwriting, but not just that, but our competitors' products that we're competing against, being on TV and knowing that we have to compete against Colonial Penn, AERP, Globe Life, right? And but you understand that. I can tell when in our trainings that you have that understanding. You just have this sort of intuition for the business. And I have so many questions for you right now. Okay, so let's learn about your business real quick. So, like you said, you joined us a couple of years ago. In 2022. And so those first 6 months there, I ran the numbers here, Lisa. The first 6 months with this, you wrote $104,000. That was in 2022. In 2023, you wrote $265,000. All right. And this year so far, you've written $127,000. Exactly around 6 months. Yeah, 6 months into the year. Exactly. Yeah, it's July 1st. So you're averaging over $20,000 a month, and you're doing it consistently month over month. So let's dig into your business, how you're doing this. So let's start with what kind of leads do you work? Well, I know you worked, when you came in, you're working a lot of TV leads. So let's start there. What kind of leads do you work?
So now I have transitioned over to the Facebook leads. To be honest, I didn't think I would like it. But what started me doing it is when I got promoted here to be a regional sales director, RSD. And a lot of my agents on my team were asking about these Facebook leads. And I'm thinking, in order to tell them I got to do it, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it. And I love it because it allows me to be active and to keep my business. And I wind up liking it a lot more than the TV call-ins because it allows me to keep working. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just sitting here waiting for a call, whereas I could be a little more proactive and keep rinsing and repeating. And because of it, I've been anomaly, I guess, where I've been able to, at my peak, have between 18 to 20% close ratio.
On Facebook leads.
On Facebook, yes. Yep.
On Facebook, guys, 18 to 20% close rate on Facebook leads.
Yes.
So, when you're working TV call-ins for about a year and a half or so somewhere around there, your closing rate was, in the 22, 25% range, if I remember correctly. I didn't pull those numbers, but just from memory, I'm pulling that. And with Facebook, you're at 18 to 20% calling outbound on Facebook lead. That's incredible. That's really incredible. So I would ask why these leads work for you, but you already said that you just don't like to sit around and wait for a call and whatnot.
Yeah. And it keeps the juices flowing too, because when someone doesn't answer, I'm thinking, okay, what can I do now to better the chances of them to answer? So I'm sending text messages, which kind of helps me to stay more focused in my business and think creative, see which things work, and then share it with my team. So I would have never thought it would like Facebook leads, but yeah, I do.
Are you sending personalized text messages, or are you automating? And just when you say sending text messages to people you don't get in touch with, are you just messing with optimizing your automations, that texts that go out, or are you sending personalized text?
A little bit of both. So someone doesn't answer, it's like, hey, I got your request. Give me a call back. I'm the licensed field underwriter who's assigned to help you. Give me a call back. I'm confident I can help. It's a quick phone call. Things like that I do. If I haven't heard back from them, it's like, hey, I've been leaving you some messages. And that's more personalized because I'll go over what they said in their lead form to kind of jog their memory. So little things I do to kind of tweak the automation. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. And so, last year you wrote $265,000 of business. This year you'll write less business, but because you're paying less for leads, you're also going to profit more. So talk to me about this. How much do you spend in leads every month? Just ballpark.
So I do 30 and 30. So it could be twice a week that I'm doing it, or it could be 3 times a week. So now that I'm an RSD, and we were talking about this, the reason why I'm making less as far as the sales side is concerned is because I'm trying to learn how to help my team, but at the same time grow my business. Right. So when I do it twice a week, then I think it's $15 per lead. So that's 450 times 2, so about $900 a week, or about $3,600 a month. So let's say 3,600 to 4,000 a month.
Okay.
Math, right?
And yeah. Okay. So a couple things there. With those leads, though, you're also getting some inbound calls, right? About what percentage of those actually call you because of the automations that are set up?
I would say maybe about 10 to 15% actually call. But here's the thing. When I text people, they may not answer that first time, but because I'm texting in between with the automation, the next time I call, they'll answer, or it's a higher chance of them answering.
What are you texting in between the automations, Lisa?
So I will say, hey, I tried to reach you, but you didn't answer. So give me a call back. This is my phone number. I'm confident I can help. And it's a quick phone.
Okay, so it's that.
It's
Okay.
that one. And then if I don't get anything back the second go around and I'm calling them, it's like, hey, if you're busy now, let's hop on my calendar so we can schedule a time. And it'll be about a 10 to 15-minute call. So here's the link, schedule time. And then sometimes I'll even have it where I give them 2 options. I just called you for a schedule time, but you didn't answer. So let's schedule something tomorrow. Are you available in the morning or afternoon? So little things that I do in between. And because I'm using the same phone number to call and the same number to text, they'll recognize it and see with my consistency of calling them. They will eventually.
Okay. I mean, so $3,900 a month-ish, say call $4,000 a month on leads. You're closing 18 to 20% of them. You know, a lot of agents who take Facebook leads, they take a lot of volume. I mean, they'll take 100 to 200 a week sometimes, but they close much less, 6-7%ish, where you're taking, 30 to 60, sometimes 90, you said, right? Depending 2 to 3 orders a week. And probably just depending on the response and the conversations that you're having, so you have more control. That I get it. But you're closing 18 to 20% of your Facebook leads because you're putting that extra effort, those extra personalized texts, that extra into it, instead of just cranking through as many dials, calling 200-300 plus people every single day. You're being very calculated in how you get in touch with these people. Yeah.
Yep. And I recommend it for even the newer agent to do it that way. For me, you get more of a discount when you have a higher volume of ordering Facebook leads, but you can't get to all of them in a week. And the longer they sit dormant, the less likely it is to sell it.
Yeah.
So I would rather pay more, focus on those leads. For 30, it typically takes me 2 days to really hit those hard and then kind of taper off a little bit towards the end of the week. And then that allows me to focus on those where I don't feel like I'm wasting money, not reaching all 100 on one part of the week.
Makes sense. I was talking to an agency owner who has a call center with over 150 people in it. They work Facebook leads, other Google leads too, but they work outbound leads in their call center, and they call lead, I think it's like 8 to 10 times within the first 48 hours. And then if nobody picks up in 48 hours, they're done. They don't call it ever again. So they put their best, it reminds me of what you're doing, because you put your best effort in, right? To every lead, and they're just doing their best effort within 48 hours and then discarding it. I guess they don't discard it. They'll have some of their newer agents kind of call on those, but for all intents and purposes, it's discarded, and they don't factor that into their numbers.
Yeah.
Because if they can give it their best effort right away, like that's where you're going to get the most, the best outcome, right?
Yeah.
If you do that, and and to have those sort of pieces to, in your ad journey to, hey, call me, have your name, your photo, call me. So 10% of your leads will call you. Like, that's the hottest lead you could get, right? They see you, they see your phone number, and they call you, and then with your text and everything, I could see how this is working well. So that's awesome. So with all that said, spending about $4,000 a month on leads, closing 18-20%. I mean, it sounds like since you've been with us, you've netted over 6 figures. Would you say that's correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I don't want to give exact. I don't want to say anything beyond that, because I just want people to understand what's, after all expenses, after paying for leads, after paying for any sort of technology or whatever you're using, a lot of agents are, have the question, like, how are people making money if they're spending $4,000 a month? Are they really making over 6 figures a year? Yeah. So, and you were doing it off TV calls within your first year.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's the thing. Certain leads are work for certain people, right? You love TV leads. You had them before digital PGA. You got them at digital PGA. You did great with them for a year and a half, but then you found something that suited you better. And that's the journey. That's an agent journey, and everyone is different in this business. So I love that you found your place here.
I really enjoy being here too, because you just learn so much, and digital is so open with their training, and even the call training that you do on Tuesdays. You get so many golden nuggets that you can use to tweak your business so much. And I can't even say so much, but those little nuances can make a big difference and a big impact. Even if it's just 1 or 2 extra sales a month, you multiply that times 12, that makes a big difference.
Absolutely. I always say 1 sale a month can save your month.
Yep.
Right? An extra $750,000 in your bank account, depending on the premium and everything, can save your month. And so those little tweaks really are meaningful for agents out there to just get that 1 extra or 2 extra every single month. And like you said on the Tuesday calls, what I like about, so I always tell people, like, hey, you got to listen to your own call, see how you sound, right? We always talk about how you're received by other people, but also to hear other agents' calls, right? But like we do on Tuesdays, we listen into live calls. We'll cherry pick some because they're good calls, but we always do a session of listening to live calls, agents on the phone right now, and talk about what we're hearing there. And, a lot of agents don't understand, a lot of the nuances to a lot of these calls, and to open their mind to, like, when somebody, for example, is actively listening to an agent and they're responding in a certain way, you got them, right?
Yep.
And a lot of agents don't see that. And so we get to open their eyes to these things. And you can only do that by listening to other people's calls as well as your calls, your own calls, right? And I love that part about it. I think that's super impactful to be able to do something like that, and it helps a lot of agents. So, and you're very active on those calls, and you give a lot of great response. Thank you for being so active in that and helping other agents. And, as we listen. So, let's say, Lisa, tell me about your daily schedule. So you're netting 6 figures a year, you're working Facebook leads. What's your daily schedule like?
So I'm learning to be successful. It can take some hours to be there. So before I was RSD, I would start at probably 9, because I would take about 35, 45 minutes to get my mind in the right trajectory I need for my day. And then take calls at 10 o'clock. And was dedicated to the last call would come in. Well, I think at that time, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern, yeah.
Now that I'm already, I still have to knit a schedule for Zoom meetings, individual training, agents, helping them out, helping them out. So now I know it's bad. 9 a.m. to probably, 9, sometime after 9 p.m.
Lisa, don't do that. Stop that right now. What are you doing?
I've got to set some more harder boundaries.
Yeah, we're going to talk after this. All right, so but the call time. Let's talk about to take out RSD. So just in working.
So
what is your daily schedule?
To start at around 10:30, 11 o'clock for my TTC leads, because I'm dealing with Central Time, Mountain Time, and Western Time. So you don't want to call too early. And then I probably around 7:30 at night.
Okay.
And that's Eastern Time.
Right. And so you're calling the West Coast for that kind of time arbitrage too, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Work late. Yeah. Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay. Let's see here. So I looked at your business for the past 6 months for this year. And when I say I looked at your mix of business and I looked at your placement rate. So I want to share with you your mix of business numbers real quick. Okay. So I think this is really important. You just can learn a lot. So this year, 88% of your business is level business. Okay. Only 12% is graded or GI. Okay. That is a fantastic ratio. And I only see one Sika policy in that mix as well. It's not like you're just shoving everybody over to Sika to get level business. Okay. So I have to ask, what do you attribute your ability to get that much level business to?
Experience. Because I was face to face and I learned a lot of underwriting being face to face. Asking the right questions. For example, if someone tells me they had a heart attack 2 years ago, I always ask, because we all know when COVID happened. So was that before COVID or after COVID? And you'll be amazed. A lot of times when people say 2 years, it was really before COVID. Well, COVID happened March 2020. That was over 4 years ago now. We're in 4.5 years ago. And if you ask that one simple question, that could make a big difference in the outcome coming back is graded versus level. So little niches I've learned with certain carriers. For example, American Amicable, if someone has COPD but hasn't taken any inhalers or filled a prescription for inhalers, in the last 3 years, they can get level immediate coverage. So those little things, if you start reading the application, you will learn certain things that could possibly change the level of business and how much commissions you get.
So how did you get to the point where you are so fluent in field underwriting and carrier selection? So I get it. It's experience, but I mean, you said you read the application, and are you relying on technology like everybody else? Are you like
yes?
Well,
I rely on insurance toolkits. Okay. I feel like that's pen to paper. You need it. But because I started so long ago, we didn't have this technology. Yes, we had insurance toolkits, but we had paper. So even now with my agents on my team, we actually look at an application and realize that there is a method to the madness on why questions are up at the top, middle, and bottom. And I think with technology, you don't see that. So I train my agents on it so that all they should do is look in an application with what outcome comes with the insurance toolkits. And that will help you understand the process of allowing or even making sure your client or prospect qualifies for immediate coverage.
I hope everybody paid attention to that, because a lot of agents use insurance toolkits, but their mix of business isn't so it's the additional understanding of it, really looking at the applications. And we always talk about having a lead carrier. So you really understand, lead carrier two. So you really understand the underwriting of those carriers so you can get that mix of business. Because, I'll say this here. You've heard me say it a bunch, but this is something that's like your mix of business. It's one of the secret killers of agents out there.
Yes.
They may write a lot of business. Their closing percentage may be good, right? But if you don't write enough level business that pays you more commission and stays on the books, it's also better for your clients, of course, right? Get them level coverage. You can feel better about yourself and give you a lot more purpose in what you're doing, right? But the thing is, your cash flow, to cash flow this business is going to be much easier if you can get your mix of business to optimal levels. If you're over 85% level business, you're optimal, and you're at 88%. So that's a big reason on why people need to look at their mix of business. And I love how your mix of business is so good. And the thing is, when I was looking at your business, Lisa, I only saw a couple GI policies, and those were in January.
Yeah.
That was crazy to me to see that. Out of all the business you've written this year, are you like walking away from GI business intentionally, or is it just you're getting people real graded coverage and level coverage?
Pretty much making sure I get them real graded level coverage. And I emphasize with my clients, for example, if they are able to get SICA, I would say, hey, look, in any other circumstance, you would be declined, or you would have a waiting period and they charge you more. By any means necessary, you want to keep this policy. So I try to reiterate with my client why they wouldn't necessarily qualify for level because of whatever their health issue.
See, and those are the small things that you can say to get people to, because we're going to talk about placement next, and your placement's great as well, to make sure you keep that policy. Those are the things you need to add to your scripting, because, hey, you have these health problems. Most carriers are going to put you a much more expensive rate, big waiting period. And we're able to do this. You need to keep this policy. This is you are lucky to get this.
Exactly.
And that is something that a lot of agents you need to build that conviction in the product, and then having that product when you're able to do something where, if you're able to do something where you get them level coverage and you're worried if it's not going to be level or graded, like, they're on the cusp and they need to understand that. You need to, let them know the weight of, hey, we got an excellent approval here. You got to keep this. So love that. So let's talk about that. Placement rate. Okay. You have an 82% placement rate this year. Just looking at business from January up until today.
And that's a lower again. Me too.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I probably should have gone back. And then here's the thing. It counts policies submitted in the past 30 days that haven't drafted yet. So that number's going to go up. Okay. So, there's business in there that will place that will increase that number. So, your placement rate is probably in the 85% plus range. So, and that's something we need to talk about. What are you doing to get your placement rate in that 85% plus range?
I do Social Security billing.
Okay.
I don't give them an option. I find out when they get their benefits, and that's their day. I text my clients 3 to 5 days before, saying your payment is going to happen on this day, and this is how much it is, and give me a call if you need me. I always make sure to work with 1 or 2 core carriers first. And that helps too, because typically with the core carrier, you want them to be on Social Security billing and easy to work with on the back end in case things need to be adjusted.
Okay. Awesome. Do you get any pushback when you send those texts 3 to 5 days before their payment?
It happens, but it's not as much as you would think. So when I started doing that, I was like a little apprehensive. It was like, but it's I'd say maybe 10%.
Well, that 10%, you should get to have a conversation with them now rather than let it,
Exactly.
go, initial premium returned. So,
exactly. And then commissions have already been paid. I got to figure out paying it back, and I don't want to do that.
yeah, exactly. And it gives you a few days to work on it.
Exactly.
And really, I think the only agents that should be comfortable doing that are the ones that have built rapport, right? Where they get that text from you because they know who you are, and it wasn't a transaction. Anybody who does it transactionally probably should never do that because they won't remember and
Yep.
and I know you've built the need, you've kind of gotten that emotional side out on why they need this coverage and what would happen without it and things like that. So, okay.
And I will say too, what helps is sending the welcome packets that Ben has, because after a sale, I really think because we're talking with someone on the phone, afterwards they may have buyer's remorse because they're afraid of scam. And when you text after saying, thank you for your business, I really appreciate it, reach out to me by this number in your phone. You send a text about payment. By that time, they've already received a welcome packet, my information, parental wishes guide, summary of coverage they signed up for. All of that helps your business run in advance.
Absolutely. Are you verifying payment information with Guyot?
Not really.
Okay. Well, that's another thing you could do to get that even.
That is true. But at first I started doing it, but true transparency, if someone has a high risk that comes back, then that's just bad. You don't care. No, but if I'm so it's just something.
Really, it's just to verify that it's a right routing and account number. So if it comes back high risk, it's a right routing and account number. We train to just go through it with it anyway. It's when it comes back as no account found, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go get that routing and account number again. Make sure we didn't transpose a digit or anything like that.
Exactly. And I will say too, because I'm not the best with technology, with GAIAC, I'll see it low risk, medium risk, high risk, but I also verify the routing number through a Google search.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. And I always read account numbers back. Does that sound right? So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's so important. I mean, that is so important that a lot of the agents overlook. You get all the way to, through a sale, you build rapport, you got all that. They say yes, you're at the account, they give you the routing and account number, and then, they don't go through the process to make sure.
Yes.
That is like we said before, that is the difference between placing a policy and not placing a policy, that could make or break your month for some agents.
Yeah.
The difference in that lead order, that next lead, things like that. So just because you didn't confirm that information. All right. So let's see here now. Okay. So we talked about RSD. And for those who are watching that are unfamiliar, not with digital BGA, we have our live group trainings, daily, but we also assign you to a successful agent that's been in the trenches daily, like Lisa, to help you one-on-one. So when she's talking about, juggling her time, like she really works one-on-one with agents that come in, and she's not paid an override. She's not in your hierarchy. RSDs are not in your hierarchy at all. Okay. So this basically means you've kind of volunteered to help new agents coming onto digital VGA and work with them one-on-one, which is extremely gracious of you, by the way. So let's talk about new agents for a moment, because you're working with lots of new agents. What are you seeing as the critical steps for a new agent to be successful in this?
Number one, you have to have financial resources for the lead flow. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you gotta be willing to learn the process and not reinvent the wheel. Don't think you know better when you're new. I always have this trust and adjust job. Even though you're like, I don't know why I should do that. Trust your RSD to know that we've been there. For example, I tell my agents, hey, you have a core carrier, make sure they are on Social Security billing, where they can do the Social Security billing. And you'll be amazed, they'll still have agents trying to write business, write carriers that don't. And they have an issue, or maybe they're a little more or nitpicky with underwriting, or they've changed the algorithm for underwriting, and they're saying, don't go with that carrier, you'll do it. And now application decline. And I'm thinking, if you just listen to me.
Okay, so number one, you need to have enough funds to buy leads to keep you busy and going. And I agree. If you don't have enough funds, if you only have enough for a lead order or two, yeah, exactly. And look, you're going to receive commissions. You'll make some sales in your first couple of weeks and you'll get some commissions in, but you really want to have that built up so you're not, and know you're going to be spending that. And that's a small price to pay to be in this business. I mean, any sort of business has startup costs.
Yep.
To have $4,000 to $5,000 to spend on leads to that will bring you money. It's really an investment. If you think of it, it's really an investment, and it's an investment in yourself. Because, if agents are having trouble spending money, they don't have the confidence in themselves to do this business. Maybe they just need to study a little bit more. Maybe they need to, maybe they're being a little over analytical, whatever it is. But, I would even add to that, you have to believe in the system. Like you said, trust and adjust. I love that. And know that it works for people. It works for you. It works for lots of agents at this GA. And if you can just follow and be a student of final expense telesales, you'll do just fine. But you got to believe in it, and you got to just give it your full effort, and you have to be able to invest in us to make it work. Because I find a lot of agents just don't give themselves enough run.
Yeah, that is true.
And I feel like we've lost very good agents who would have done very well if they just would have given themselves enough runway.
Yep. And in this business, if you compare it to other businesses, to start seeing a return on your investment within a couple of weeks, you'll start getting money, whereas retail, it may be 6 months, a year before you see a return on your investment. So that's
absolutely
very rewarding, and it's a quick reward, but you gotta be focused on learning to create your business deep with strong roots, strong foundation. Then you focus on going out. And the only way to do that is by learning from others who've done it well. So you find someone that you can look up to and say, that's where I want to be in a year, and see how they do it, and you do it the same way.
Absolutely. And, I'll end this conversation here just by thanking you, Lisa, for being such a resource to all the agents at Digital BGA, sharing all your wisdom, everything you've learned. We're lucky to have you. And I just want to wish you continued success. Keep getting that 18 to 20% sales rate. That is amazing. I love what you're doing there.
Well, I learned all of this through digital. And sales is a great way to grow you up personally, professionally, financially. And I'm really thankful to be with you guys because I've learned so much. Whereas when I was face to face, I thought, I know everything that I need to know for this business. No, there's so much available to help your clients, and that helps you be a success in this business. And I feel like I've only touched the tip of the iceberg here at Digital. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. I appreciate you, Lisa. Thanks.